Top of the morning to you, my friend. Up there we go, back from oblivion. Welcome to another episode of First World Third Rails. Your host, Marlon, aka Mayhem, aka Mr. Disruptive, with his none other than partner in crime, JD. How you doing, partner?
I'm fine, thanks.
Good to see you, as always.
And you too.
I'm coming to you today from the pool deck of the adult pool at the Atlantis, Nassau, Bahamas. It's Memorial Day weekend. I'm trying to get in this is as close as I can get to Atlantis.
So that's
right
the
now.
adult pool, not the kiddie pool?
That's not the kiddie pool. That's the adult pool. And I had that cabana right over my shoulder there for an afternoon. It was wonderful.
It sounds wonderful.
It's as close as I can get to being at the beach this weekend, this Memorial Day weekend. But I'm going to enjoy this weekend.
Oh, this is Memorial Day weekend coming up?
I believe it. Oh, no, it isn't. Oh, wait. Yeah, it is. What's today?
Hey, so the pool's going to be open.
Monday is Memorial Day. Good God.
Right, so the pool's going to open. That's a big deal.
Yeah. That used to signal the start of summer for me back on the East. I'd have my Nissan Pathfinder loaded up this weekend and headed to Dewey Beach, Delaware, way of life.
Well, I'll be going to the pool, we have a really nice pool. And
community pool in the neighborhood?
It's a community pool, and then you have memberships, and
nice.
It's actually really, really lovely.
Nice.
So we'll be going over with the gang and sitting in the chairs getting baked.
I've got, as you know, from
15 minutes, gotta go.
Our previous sessions, I have new patio furniture that I haven't put together, and I've made a commitment this weekend to get it put together.
Well, the chairs come, the baskets of the chairs come pre-assembled, right?
There's some assembly I got to do.
I was going to say, you just put them on the ground and put the tables up.
Right. Hey, honey, it's done.
We're going to be doing it Japanese style.
We'll tackle that probably on Friday.
Sure, you will.
That's the plan. and then we'll just do some really good barbecuing, have some really good wine, kind of sit out and let the rays. It's supposed to be very good weather here this weekend.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to Friday.
We got a reprieve.
Oh, you did?
It went back down into the 60s this week, and it's supposed to, I think Saturday is supposed to be our warmest day since we got the reprieve, back up into the 80s.
That's hot up there.
Very.
In May.
Very. This early in the year. Oh no, now they're 76 is supposed to be the hot Friday. Perfect.
Well, you know what? When the El Nino Gulf Stream redirects, it looks like it enters the United States on your doorstep.
Yep.
And it swoops down, it comes across through where we are in Virginia. And we're supposed to be drier and hotter here as well.
Well, here's to drier, hotter Memorial Day weekend weather. I really miss my time at Dewey Beach, man. That was one of all the beaches, Virginia Beach, Maryland Beach, Annapolis, where I grew up as a kid.
Dewey. That's a good beach.
Love Dewey, man. Love it. I know the last time I was there, because of hurricanes that have hit the east, excuse me, their beach had really, really eroded. I don't know what it looks like today.
It's gotten progressively worse, unfortunately.
Yeah. I assume I could do a Google Earth search, and maybe it'll show me what it looks like today.
Don't do it. Don't.
Yeah, it'll break my heart. God, man, that's the memories I have from the summers there are just ones I will treasure forever.
Amen. We used to go to Homeless. That was our primary destination.
Yes. Third rails. I know why you're laughing. I know why you're laughing, man. Because
I'm chuckling with you.
You know how much
Where to start?
oh God, you know how much I hate Elon Musk and what he has done to Twitter. And he's turned it into a toilet bowl. And that is exasperated by what he did. What was it today? Yesterday? Is it today? I think it's
I think
today.
he's doing an announcement with DeSantis today.
Oh God. Oh my God. The only positive to me is that with this announcement, people with brains like you and I can sit back now and watch Trump and DeSatan gouge each other's eyes out. That's the only value of this move by Musk to do this
Well, my abiding
for us.
principle is exposition. So yes, the more light, the more exposure, the more yakking, the better.
Yeah.
And I'm totally confident. I'm not starting to hear, I'm actually now consistently hearing changes in tone where sentences include liar, traitor, cheat. I mean, all of the things.
Which one? Both? Which one? Both of them?
Well, what's interesting with DeSantis, I think you're well aware that he managed to convince the legislature to obfuscate all of his travel records. And I'm sure you've heard that there are, I guess was it New York Times put together a piece that said they've clearly identified 55.
Yeah, it was the Times.
Different participants in basically a ring of contributors and carriers, and then they carry this virus across the United States on their private jets.
Yep.
And as a matter of exposition, that is a wonderful exposition, because
what are we going to do with it? It's only wonderful if we take action on it.
Well, no, we can't really take action on it. However, one of the things that's become clear, and I like the discussions around getting rid of the electoral college, and one of the compelling arguments behind the electoral college is that if you're in a state that has a plurality, either Democratic or Republican,
Yep.
Technically your vote really doesn't matter because it gets amalgamated in.
Yep.
And it's literally lost. So if your state awards all of its electoral votes, then your vote is lost.
Yep.
And technically that seems problematic. The other is that since so many of the major population centers like Texas and Florida versus California and New York, those are already hardwired. And so there are really only a finite number of votes that make a difference, and they're in the so-called swing states.
States, which is why I'm in favor of abolishing it.
That's where the exposition, in my opinion, has some merit. In other words,
I hope so.
There's really very little that would change your mind or my mind, and there's very little that would change Trump's mind or DeSantis' mind or any of their acolytes' minds. So we really need exposition so that folks who are actually on the periphery will make a choice. I think that we should start doing. I'm actually going to abandon this. I had a train of thought that I was going to submit, but I'm going to let it go for right now.
Well, in its place, I'm going to go down this path because how do I say this?
This is interesting.
I have been labeled and accused, whatever adjective you want to use.
Well, you're really thoughtful right now.
Yeah, for the moment. I've been accused of always berating and beating down MAGA, and with good reason.
Mm-hmm.
And I own that, right? I own that. Here's the thing, though, that I don't get credit for. I am fair. fair in the sense that, yes, because of what MAGA represents, because of who they are, because of what they do, what they think, all of those things, deservedly so, I'm in the fight against them and their ignorance. But when there is the same level of, I'll use the word stupidity for now, on the other side, I'm going to call that out too. And I did this week. And I know I'm going to draw feedback and backlash on this, and I don't care because I'm fair and I'm balanced. And when I see it, I'm going to call it out. I don't care your skin color. I don't care your voter registration party. I don't care about any of that. Stupidity and ignorance is stupidity and ignorance. And the one that I called out this week on the other side, other end of the spectrum from MAGA, and this pains me to do it, but I have to, is Ice Cube.
I don't know nothing about no Ice Cube.
Who was trending this week because now I haven't heard this from him directly, but it is apparent that he has made these comments. I'll have to look and search to see if, and I believe there is, I just haven't seen it.
Is there a difference between Ice Cube and Ice-T?
Yes, two different actors.
Okay.
Ice
But
Cube
they're both
was
actors, and they're both black actors from the previous generation.
rappers turned actors turned Ice-T is in Law and Order Special Unit Victim. That's Ice-T.
Okay.
Ice Cube is from the Friday movies you would recognize him in are the Friday franchise. Friday After Next Friday.
Okay. I've never seen them, but you've helped me understand.
I'm not surprised at that.
So what did Ice Cube do?
He said he is referenced as quoting saying that black people should abolish or move on from the Democratic Party.
And did he have a suggestion where they would go?
That was my tweet. Leave the Democrats and go where? Where would you suggest we go? Are we flawed? Yes. But what's the alternative? And they've been, he's been getting roasted ever since I saw that, because as you know, Ron DeSatan has, there's no way I'm not going to say those words. Ron DeSatan, and I'm so angry right now, just even thinking about this. The names are going to pop out of my head. At Joe Biden's inauguration, a beautiful, beautiful poem was written, and spoke at his inauguration by, and I can't, her name is jumping right out of my head, and I apologize to her.
That's okay. I actually know who you're talking about, because I think I listened to it at least 4 times.
I've listened to it at least 4 times too.
Yeah, it was everything you would hope for.
DeSatan has had that poem removed from the Florida school district. And Amanda Gorman, one of my Twitter followers, seeing that, tweeted and said, "Hey, why doesn't Ice Cube weigh in on that?" Look.
Well, let's go back rather than why doesn't Ice Cube weigh in on Amanda Gorman? Is that the question was posed? Why aren't you going after DeSantis?
Well, that's part of it, but the bigger picture question is, you're suggesting that black people leave and abolish the Democratic Party for what?
Well, I saw something that was adjacent to this subject, and I'm looking for it, and I'm coming up.
Hang on. I want to make sure you understand the inherent danger from my viewpoint of that statement.
Okay.
Because if you do not have a viable alternative, then you're going to trigger in people's minds, well, shit, Ice Cube is telling me I need to abolish the Dems. He doesn't have an alternative, so why should I vote? And that is the inherent danger of a statement like that.
There's a phenomena called a dead end, and yeah, that's a dead end. It's neither
It's a dangerous
not part
dead
of
end.
the solution.
It's a
I
dangerous
don't know
dead
how
end because
dangerous it is. It's such a nonsensical statement that
it's very dangerous, JD, because you know from the history we
I
have.
don't know whether Ice Cube holds any sway in the Black community.
Yeah, he does. Yeah, he does.
How did he get influence? I mean, how did he arrive at a point where he had sufficient influence?
He's had
Is
influence
he just an
for
actor? I mean,
no. He has been more than just an actor. He was he started, remember, as a rapper.
yeah, but rappers don't make the world go round.
No, but they have influence. They have tremendous influence. And Q has done a lot, has had a lot of success, and has tremendous influence. He's
Well,
done.
that's what I'm asking. I'm asking how he got his influence. Was it just because he's an actor? I don't know.
Rapper first, acting came after rapping.
All right. Well, that statement to me is basically analogous to kindling. There's
Not
no
when you have, not when you
I
remember.
can't argue with you about the influence of the Black community.
Let's
You know better than I. So I'm going to
let's
what you're saying. You're saying it's a meaningful statement.
let's wind the tape back to an argument you and I goes back many moons. Words matter.
Yes.
And they definitely matter when they come from somebody with significant influence, which he has. The second part of this, and this is why I keep using the word inherently dangerous, you know the effort, energy, and amount of time that in the Black community we have exasperated just to get people to participate, because typically we don't. Now, 2018, I think, was a watershed moment. We all agree that Black women, 2018, 2020, saved us from the brink of disaster by coming out in masses and voting. And so when you have someone who is so influential, now the word exposition applies here with Ice Cube because the Black community and leaders in the Black community are hearing this and seeing this and going, whoa, dude, what are you talking about? What are you talking about?
Okay, so there's pushback.
Oh, tremendous.
Okay.
Tremendous. Because again, what's the alternative?
We've established that we don't know what the alternative is.
There is no alternative right now.
Bipolar environment.
There is no alternative right now. And I want to be clear about this because I get labeled all kind of different things. I want to be clear about this. If Republicans had a plan for anything, I would be open to hearing it. I would be open to listening to it. I voted 1980, dating myself, was the first year I was eligible to vote. And I voted for Ronald Reagan in 1980. I didn't vote for him the second term because after the first term, I kind of the exposition showed me what he was all about. But if you have a plan, I will listen. I will try and comprehend what it is. Now, tax break for the less than 1%, that's not a plan. That's not a plan to me. That's nothing tangible that I would support or vote for. But they don't. Where's the plan for the alternative to Obamacare? We've been hearing about that for how many years?
Well, actually, there is a plan, and the plan is really simple and straightforward. It's to kick everybody who's disadvantaged.
That's not a plan. That's not a plan.
No, but that is the plan. So
that's the goal, not the.
I'm looking for something and I'm really
Excuse me.
upset that I can't find it. A gentleman named, I believe it was Jonathan Haidt, who is a psychoanalyst. Or was it Andy Borowitz? He made an excellent comment. He said, there's a new phenomenon. This is a little bit of what you're talking about. And this is where I said it's kind of adjacent. He said, one of the big problems right now is that even within the so-called Democratic cadre,
Uh-huh.
there's really not as much solidarity there as you would hope. And if you look closely at what's going on in social media, the polarization between Republicans and Democrats is so complete that a lot of people have grown weary of arguing across that divide. And they end up
Yep.
actually shooting moderates in their own party.
Yep.
Does that make
Yep.
sense?
Yeah, it's what's happening.
So what you just said would be an example of a relatively moderate position, which is where you actually stated, and if we take it at face value, you stated that if there was a Republican plan that had merit and that made sense and was consistent with what you thought were the right values, that you would be receptive to it.
Yes.
So that would technically kind of make you a moderate in that sentence. And then other members of your own party would start beating you over the head.
Yep.
So the way this manifests, a lot of it is currently in universities where you just cannot get a word in edgewise. So if you're on a liberal campus or you're on a conservative campus, they're actually not exposing themselves not only to what they would consider the opposition, but to moderate voices within their own group.
And my pushback to my own party and people would be the same that I just gave to Ice Cube.
Right, exactly.
What's your alternative?
That's a case of, I don't think Ice Cube would say, I am a Republican, right? He would consider himself relative. He probably voted for Biden. He probably voted for Barack Obama, right?
He didn't vote for Trump.
Here he is essentially making incendiary statements about other people in his own party.
Right.
So this is that thing made manifest, and it's actually a fairly pronounced phenomena. And that's where you get libtards from.
Yep.
Because somebody who, one of our favorite examples has got to be this Bud Light thing.
God. Again.
But the point is that you can be a Democrat. You can support LGBTQ.
Which I do.
Right. And then you can be like, that was probably a misstep. I mean, just saying it was a misstep, because the point is you can be in multiple places at the same time and still hold the same basic underlying values.
Correct.
That's all I wanted to do with that one. I don't want to, no interest in that one.
Again, given the effort we every 2 and 4 years put forth, and the bigger effort isn't even in the general election. The bigger effort is getting young people of color, Black communities to understand you have to take stock, party affiliation aside, you have to take stock in your own welfare and well-being, meaning you need to start to take interest in who you are electing at the local level, at the state level, that has more impact on your life than the general election. So I know I've been a part of that education effort to get people to understand it's important that you participate in your local elections, your local community appointments, water, utilities, and sheriff, all those things that have direct impact on your community and your well-being and your welfare. You have not control, but you have some input and say on that through your vote. And it's important that you treat that vote like you do the general election. Now comes along Ice Cube saying, hey, the Democratic Party hasn't done anything for Black people, so we should abandon it. That is so reckless and dangerous. Are
Well,
we in my tweet, are we flawed? Absolutely.
here's an open-ended
Absolutely.
question. Here's an open-ended question.
Okay.
Comparatively, the Republican versus the Democratic parties, I would characterize Democratic policies as generally being more uplifting of all
All people.
citizens.
All people.
So a lot of the things that Ice Cube is talking about would be shortfalls for all citizens in a situation where we have divided government. In other
Yep.
words,
Yes.
it is actually quite the challenge to produce results with divided government. And I am not aware, and this could be an education for me. In other words, I'd be like, Mr. Cube, it's like Ice, Mr. Cube, I don't know what his name is. But say, Mr. Cube, is there a specific aspect of the Democratic platform that is isolating Black people and treating them differently than all other citizens? And what I'm saying is that we're all mutually agreed that it's very difficult to produce outcomes. But if he's saying leave the Democratic Party because there have been failures across the board with all citizens, then that also is problematic, because he's saying Black people are going to isolate themselves, and somehow we've been more disaffected than all other Democrats. I don't see that. It may be there, and that'd be my question. Mr. Cube, are you saying that some of these policies have been harder on Blacks than they have been on poor
Oh,
Blacks?
he's specifically calling out harder and no progress for Black. That's why he's making that
Well, what
statement.
I think what he's saying is, he's saying, well, we voted for you, so we expect some results. And that's a legitimate thing, but they should be, in other words, if you're a Black person and you're walking around going, I really would like to be treated as an equal, then if you vote for somebody, don't say, well, I deserve special remuneration or compensation for my Black vote as opposed to this other guy's white vote, even though we both voted for the same guy. So he's actually creating an isolation, which would be, he's creating a segregation, which I don't see how he supports it. I don't see how he supports it. I honestly don't.
I'm more concerned.
Is that he
I'm more-
voted for Biden and he's not getting what he wants, so he's withdrawing his Black vote?
You would have to ask him that. That's my assumption.
Dear Mr. Cube.
But I would offer to him, yeah, you are disappointed that you are not getting the things that you expected with your vote for Biden, but who still controls the Senate?
Well, the Democrats
And now the House is flipped.
Republicans control the House. It's divided government.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you think he was in a pickle before? Wait till we default on the debt. Everybody's going to be in a pickle.
Yeah. 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 And how did the debt get as high as it did? We know how. We know why. There's a tweet I did.
I consider that a real detour, talking about how we got here. I'm not challenging you,
I
Marlon.
know exactly how we
Yeah,
got
you
here.
and I know, so we can talk about it, but it's just an echo chamber.
But it's the reality that, see, again, alternate universe reality, and this is where we are.
Right. The Republican negotiator, when he woke up that morning and he said, honey, I'm going to go to a negotiation meeting with
Biden.
the White
Biden.
House, right?
Yep.
So
Yep.
he got in his car, I assume. He's like, now, while he's driving, he's like thinking to himself, well, which would be more effective, to walk out in the first minute, the second minute, or the third minute? Because I can tell you, irrespective of what we're talking about, it doesn't fucking matter what we're talking about. I want to be out of there in the first 5 minutes, because that's the gambit. So it brings us back to the whole discussion about who caused it. And it's like, it's immaterial if you're working against a script, and the script has them walking out of negotiations in the first 5 minutes,
Yep.
irrespective of what's going on.
I'm just looking. I apologize for being distracted. I was trying to.
No, I can relate to it, because that's what I was doing just a moment ago. I was looking for something
I
because I
know.
really wanted to find it, and I can't
I
find
know.
it.
So for our viewers and listeners, you know that First World Third Rails, as we start this journey, is very low budget. I don't have a researcher over my shoulder to pull up what I need.
Oh, we're up to low budget. I didn't know we had any budget.
We're very low budget.
Well, here's a third rail. I'll wait for you though. Did you find what you were
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So I went and I looked at the two documents that were submitted by the Republicans, and I should have pulled them up. And I would go looking for them, and I would find them about 8 minutes from now. So a lot of what they were touching on were credits from the Green New Deal. And I know for a fact that we support a lot of the initiatives that will take us off of fossil fuels to help with climate change. If you look at the internal construction of some of the credits that are being granted under the Green New Deal and the Inflation Reduction Act, some of them run rampant and they run into the tens of billions of dollars. So I'm not sitting here saying that I would not raise the debt limit. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that there are things inside there that lend just the least little legitimacy. The way they're doing it, how they're doing it, when they're doing it, all sucks. Yes. Do we need to address some things? And in fact, are there democratic and progressive initiatives that are expensive and probably won't return the kind of results we want? Yes. They're there. I don't think they should trash this whole process, but that's a separate discussion.
I found what I was looking for.
Go, baby, go. What you got?
That. And when I retweeted this, I think the caption I had with it is,
look at that. Look at those numbers.
I think the caption when I retweeted this is, I know they hate facts, but they can't change the facts. And here are the facts. Here are the facts.
Now, one of the things that is really problematic is that you have to pay attention to the language here. Biden sliced the budget deficit in half in 2022, the biggest drop in history. And that was 1.4 trillion.
Yes.
For 2022, the year 2022. So the deficit that we're carrying now has been accrued, and within each year there is a budget deficit within the year.
Within the year, correct.
So it's not noted here, but they voted to raise the debt ceiling 3 times when Trump was in office.
When Trump was in office, yes.
So all of this to me is actually just evidence that they are not operating in good faith.
No, they are not.
And it's entirely
my friend,
that they're going to succeed in killing the debt ceiling. Because I think we're coming up on June 1st is what Janet Yellen was saying, right?
Right.
Okay. Oh, that's 1 week from today.
Yes, it is.
Kumbaya, my lord. Okay, well, and there's literally nothing we can do except get Ice Cube to stop suggesting that Black people don't vote Democratic. You're right. He's definitely not pulling in the right direction.
No. And I have to call him out on it. I love Cube. I've loved his,
What's lovable about him? I don't know anything about him. What has he done that anybody would listen to him?
Oh,
that would be like us listening to John Stamos. That's what I'm imagining.
He's had a great career and contribution through music and movie. and activism
You
and
know
activism.
how I am. I don't put any stock in athletes. I don't put any stock in actors. All of
They
those people, in my
they're
estimation, are very nice people, but just because they do that for a living and have visibility doesn't make them any type of meaning.
they have done significant contributions,
Okay,
both
I'm
to their
taking your word for that. I'm not going
both
to
to
change.
their communities. Um, you know, and we need to understand, and that's part of the problem. We don't understand. I was
That's fair.
watching.
That's fair. I
I
would be in that group.
I was watching the Eastern, and I'm gonna mess up the name, so apologies in advance. I was watching the Eastern Conference Finals last night, where Boston has extended this series. It's now going back to Boston 3-1 Thursday night versus getting swept like my Lakers.
I would say they're playing the Heat, right? That's in the
Yeah,
Eastern Conference.
yeah. But in the pregame, the award-winning, Emmy-winning inside the NBA TNT crew, Ernie, Shaq, Chuck, and Kenny, have won yet another Emmy. Congratulations to them. When they were in New York, Kenny and Shaq in New York to receive the Emmy, Kenny said the most astounding thing to him was not that they won the Emmy, but everybody who won an Emmy that night came up and were mentioning and referencing the Inside the NBA TNT show. I can't believe I won over these guys. Their popularity and their recognition is off the charts, and deservedly so. But here's why I bring them up. Steph Curry, basketball player, has won yet another award. And this was and I'm going to butcher the name, and I'm so sorry for butchering the name, but it is for lack of my understanding or recall on the exact name, it is the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar Citizenship Award was given to Steph Curry for the impact, and this is an award named after Kareem, for the impact that Steph Curry is having in his communities. And we don't talk enough about that. So to your point, I don't understand Ice Cube. I don't understand what he's done. He's done great work. You just don't know about it because those things don't get highlighted, and they need to be highlighted.
They need to be highlighted.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. I'm not going to argue that. I mean, all the points you're making are valid points. And what you're saying is that there are individuals of high character who also incidentally happen to be athletes. And
or
so
entertainers.
Exposure as athletes or as actors, and then they are also of high character. And what's the one, who's the woman that you have taken a shine to? You sent me the James Baldwin clip.
Oh, Ellen Barkin.
Ellen Barkin. So Ellen Barkin, it appears to me, is exerting herself to articulate a viewpoint and champion a cause. Agreed?
Oh, that's an understatement. Yeah,
so that's a plus. But I, in terms of credentials, she's on. I don't know what credentials she has except for being
an extraordinary repertoire as an actress,
which to me means nothing. I'm saying that her value is in exactly what you're describing, which is I have some visibility into it because you've exposed me to her.
Right.
And I am reading what she's saying and I am appreciating it. You're right. I have a blind spot when it comes to Ice, Mr. Cube.
Mr. Cube.
Mr. Cube. All I'm hearing about is this latest concept. And I'm like, well, how did he get influence? And apart from being an actor, he must have done some other things. I'm taking that at face value.
He is, I'm not going to put him on the Mount Rushmore of rappers, but you could make a case. You could make a case. That's how influential he has been. Specifically, rap is typically, and one of the stigmas about rap is that it's associated to the Black community, where people don't realize there are probably more white kids that listen to Death Row Records and Ice Cube than Black. And that, again, that speaks to the stigma. You mentioned Ellen Barkin, and I want I want to share something. We're sharing a lot in media today, and I typically don't do that, but I have to share this one because when I saw it, I went, "Oh man, I'm so proud and happy for her." And I should be able to find it really quick. I shared with you the Baldwin clip. Here it is. Here it is. And I commented on this too, and I can't remember my comment. It might be there. Let me let me pull it up. Um, oh, I do remember my comment. Um, I'll get to that in a second. Come on, here we go. Here we go.
I'll be curious when we
Uh,
come back from this. I want to learn more about what Ice Cube said. Did he just make that one comment, or was it wrapped in with other sentences? Did he have other?
I I think it, but I've heard him say this before, to be honest with you. Um, and it's very disappointing because I know that there's a sentiment that we're not getting what we expect out of the Democratic Party. I would say in that case, what are you doing to impact and change that?
Well, I'd like to know
Because
what it is that he wants that.
because we don't have an alternative now. You would have to ask him what he wants. I'm going to assume it's the same thing that many of us want.
And you went right back to it, the Citizen.
So Ellen yesterday, I think this was yesterday, tweeted, "This is my very first trend and I'll never forget it." And my response to that tweet was, "You don't have to apologize for using the language." And many of us who have a reasonable amount of intelligence would agree with you. Her very first trend. I'm so proud of her. I'm so happy for
Well, that makes perfect sense. They're making it more difficult. And, a lot of our original discussions, which we haven't revisited really in depth, and we're actually approaching our hour. Now, are we talking tomorrow?
Wow. Yes, we're talking every day the rest of this week. Now, remember, we got off to a slow start this morning.
It's true. God, I feel like if I flip, it just gets so bad. It just gets so bad for the reason that she cited, which I fucking hate what's going on.
I know. I know.
Before we close out,
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. In a very minuscule way, we, through this podcast and through the conversations we have outside this podcast, in a very, very minuscule way, continue to be a voice for those that don't have one. And in that, we are advocating for the change that makes this a better place, if that makes sense. I know you and I want a better place for us all, not just for Black people, not just for white people, not just for Dems or Republicans, for us all. And the frustration that I have, going back to my original statement and the Ronald Reagan reference, show me what your plan is to get us to a better place. And we've been crying for it for years. We never see it. We hear all about emails. We hear all
plan,
about,
but the plan doesn't lift all boats. There's just
no, it doesn't.
plan
No, it doesn't.
to get us being and it's not exclusively white people. It's as much a class thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's to essentially starve out anybody who's not in this strata.
Yep. Yep.
And it's almost like Ice Cube. He's like, what do you expect to happen when people literally have no money?
Right.
Or they have no support. They have absolutely no healthcare. They have absolutely no food, no rent, nothing. I mean, what do you expect to happen?
Not even the basics of a level playing field when it comes to education. This is one of the things I love, absolutely love about Shaq, because I've seen him do this a couple of times now. The most recent one was, I think, last week on the show, where Shaq, they were dedicating a playground and a basketball court. I think they were in Miami. And they had this thing where Shaq had a kid take a three-point shot.
Okay.
And as he was lining up to take that shot, Shaq said, if he makes this shot, and there are probably 200 kids at this dedication, right? If he makes the shot, I will give MacBook Pros to every kid who is here. That is so, I can't tell you the empowerment that not only uplifts, but helps level that field, because otherwise those kids would never have a MacBook Pro. They would never afford. Kid made the shot, and Shaq went, hey, Apple, if you're listening, I need 250. Not that Shaq couldn't go buy him on his own, because he could. And he did. But that, the empowerment behind that. Now, I know the opposition would say, shut up and dribble. We're never going to do that. But that's the empowerment and influence that I'm talking about, from that an Ice Cube should be focused on having, like Shaq, who says, look, here's what I can control. I'm going to control empowering 250 kids by giving them MacBook Pros, because I know they don't have that. I know they don't have that technology. Yesterday, as I met with a cellular carrier, we talked briefly about communities that are underserved with internet access and how they are trying to impact that. And those are the kinds of things that excite me, that get me engaged. I want to be a contributor to that, helping lift those boats, but level that playing field, so communities that are underserved, under-resourced, understaffed have the opportunity to help themselves. That's what this is about. Providing the resources necessary for them to help themselves. And if Ice wanted to help, that's the narrative he would be going down, like LeBron has done, like Steph has done, like Jalen Rose has done, like many that, to use your reference, you don't know the depths. You know them to be an athlete or an entertainer. You don't know the depths of the impact that they're having in serving their
That's true.
communities, because they're not highlighted. They need to be highlighted.
Yeah.
Had I not been a fan of Inside the NBA TV show, I never would have known that Shaq did that. Now, I've seen Shaq do that before. So, every Christmas, they come into the studios at Atlanta, and Shaq it's well known, Shaq is nothing more than a 7-foot, 300-pound kid at heart. And every Christmas, they come into the studio and they bring kids in, and they have a whole section of the studio just walled off with toys, and kids can bicycles and skateboards and computers, and kids can just come in and get toys for Christmas. Those are the kind of things that don't get done. Getting emotional just thinking about that. That don't get the spotlight for people like you to understand. Hey, they are making significant contributions and impact to the underserved communities that they recognize and want to support.
I guess I have a disproportionate attribution to the people we elect. Does that make sense? In other words,
Yes.
if you're waiting for a sports figure or an actor or somebody who's not really in a position of authority to modify policies, all of those are one-offs. I'm not being critical, rest assured.
No,
but that's not where we heal the nation. we
No.
really have to be hyper focused on getting people into position who can make these changes.
Yes.
And
Yes. Now, with that said, we need to give applause and credit to people like Ellen Barkin
yes, they're not mutually exclusive.
and many others who are calling out the fact that that's what we need to do. Understand who, I've been a big bullhorn dude on understand who you are electing to go represent you. That's always when I go, as you know, to my toolkit and pull out the I word when you are sending and electing people who could care less that you are living in that trailer park, who could care less that you don't have enough to feed your family or shop for your family, or you're 49th in the 48th, if you will, in education in the country, Kentucky. You need to understand and get down to the level of impact to you and do a better job of who you're sending to represent you. And
Yeah,
actors
right.
and
IQ
athletes.
did not help. That is true.
Yes, yes. And we'll
All right,
continue. We'll continue to beat that drum. We'll continue to try and educate. We'll continue the efforts to level that playing field, to rise all boats. We know one party that ain't about that, and that's for sure. That's why Ellen Barkin called them out.
Well, we'll be watching them closely over the next week. God, what a mess. All right, well, we'll cover that tomorrow. It depends on what comes up.
There's always a third rail to touch on.
So true. All right, bud.
My friend, as always, a pleasure.
Truly a pleasure.
As always, a pleasure. Thank you to all who donate time to listen to Two Old Codgers. I always say that. We appreciate that. We love you. We appreciate you. Please watch us. Please listen. Please like. And most of all, please subscribe to us.
Amen.
Catch you on the flip side, my friend, from the Bahamas.
Bye.
Bye-bye, man.